that they'll share information with the public, but we all know that already. This device employs advanced thermal imaging combined with conventional technology, giving NASA a complete but grim picture of what is approaching us. If you are one of those who are skeptical or who has an access to a telescope, you can point your telescope at the coordinates shown in this video. Now, this will give you a chance to see the satellite under optimal viewing conditions. Planet X will go down in history as the greatest government deception of all time. Whether you call it Planet X, Nibiru, Herculebus, Nemesis, the 12th planet, Wormwood, the destroyer, a brown dwarf star, the red or the blue Kachina, know this: your government is actively hiding this knowledge from you because they do not care about you as individuals. How will you be impacted by this? Well, you're going to be impacted in so many ways it is difficult to fathom. But here are just a few of them. Multiple asteroid impacts, massive volcanic eruptions, enormous earthquakes, huge tsunamis, comet impacts, or a magnetic pole shift, which will leave the Earth vulnerable to all manner of deadly cosmic rays. The list is actually even longer. However, I'm sure that you get the point. What I would recommend is that you don't get hung up on the different names for these solar system interlopers, because they each have a slightly different backstory, which will be used by the enemies of truth to try and confuse people. What is important is that your government, specifically NASA, is continuously lying to you and actively trying to cover up massive changes to our solar system and consequently dramatic and life-altering changes to our own planet. There is a list of anomalies already happening to all planets in our solar system, including Earth, but they are minimizing this. Most people know about chemical trails. This is just one tool in your government's arsenal of tricks. NASA even admits to it. They even admit using lithium. What else is NASA up to? Well, they are cutting their live ISS camera feed because too many weird things are showing up and they can no longer explain them with credibility. So NASA uses misinformation and disinformation, excessive information, and censorship, just to name a few of their tricks. There are even rumors of mysterious and unexplained deaths of scientists and UFO researchers. If you don't believe me, start doing some research. Start taking photographs of the sun, or use a welder's mask or some sort of infrared filtering device that will make this heavenly body more visible to the naked eye. It's there, folks. This is not a fabrication or a figment of someone's imagination. It exists. I have been studying and investigating the Planet X scenario for more than 15 years now. I have looked at numerous images and videos of this incoming system, and I have interviewed a host of experts and investigators who are knowledgeable on this controversial subject. I can bear witness to you of the impact this system has on our own planet and the atmospheric changes that are taking place as a result of this incoming system. I have both seen and felt its presence. It has already affected myself and others in my community in personal ways, as I explained in my last video. Conspiracies, cover-ups, deception, and false flags. Countries and governments have a long history of using these tools, and if you think you are safe or are no longer living in an age when this could happen, you have already succumbed to their false propaganda and are actually helping perpetuate the conspiracy surrounding Planet X. Many of you know who Matt Damon is, an Oscar-winning actor who also happens to be an advocate for social and political injustice. Last year he spoke about the evilness of the world we live in. In some ways, his speech is indicative of what many of us are struggling with today, trying to decipher between right and wrong, between what is real and what is not, between truth and deception. So let's listen in.
I start from the supposition that the world is topsy-turvy, that things are all wrong, that the wrong people are in jail and the wrong people are out of jail, that the wrong people are in power and the wrong people are out of power, that the wealth is distributed in this country and the world in such a way as not simply to require small reform, but to require a drastic reallocation of wealth. I start from the supposition that we don't have to say too much about this because all we have to do is think about the state of the world today and realize that things are all upside down. Now, if you don't think, if you just listen to TV and read scholarly things, you actually begin to think that things are not so bad, or that just little things are wrong. But you have to get a little detached and then come back and look at the world, and you are horrified. So we have to start from that supposition that things are really topsy-turvy. And our topic is topsy-turvy, civil disobedience. Now, as soon as you say the topic is civil disobedience, you're saying our problem is civil disobedience. That is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience. Our problem is the numbers of people all over the world who have obeyed the dictates of the leaders of their government and have gone to war. And millions have been killed because of this obedience. We recognize this for Nazi Germany. We know that the problem there was obedience, that the people obeyed Hitler. People obeyed. That was wrong. They should have challenged, and they should have resisted. And if we were only there, we would have showed them. Even in Stalin's Russia, we can understand that. People are obedient. All these herd-like people. Remember those bad old days when people were exploited by feudalism? Everything was terrible in the Middle Ages. But now we have Western civilization, the rule of law. The rule of law has regularized and maximized the injustice that existed before the rule of law. That is what the rule of law has done. When in all the nations of the world, the rule of law is the darling of the leaders and the plague of the people, we ought to begin to recognize this. We have to transcend these national boundaries in our thinking. Nixon and Brezhnev have much more in common with one another than we have with Nixon. J. Edgar Hoover has far more in common with the head of the Soviet secret police than he has with us. It's the international dedication to law and order that binds the leaders of all countries in a comradely bond. That's why we're always so surprised when they get together. They smile, they shake hands, they smoke cigars. They really like one another, no matter what they say. What we are trying to do, I assume, is really to get back to the principles and aims and spirit of the Declaration of Independence. This spirit is resistance to illegitimate authority and to forces that deprive people of their life and liberty and right to pursue happiness. And therefore, under these conditions, it urges the right to alter or abolish their current form of government, and the stress had been on abolish. But to establish the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we're going to need to go outside the law, to stop obeying the laws that demand killing or that allocate wealth the way it's been done, or that put people in jail for petty technical offenses and keep other people out of jail for enormous crimes. My hope is that this kind of spirit will take place not just in this country, but in other countries, because they all need it. People in all countries need the spirit of disobedience to the state, which is not a metaphysical thing, but a thing of force and wealth. And we need a kind of declaration of interdependence among people in all countries of the world who are striving for the same thing.
So can we always count on our government to be upfront and honest with society? Sadly enough, we cannot. They have shown time and again that the little people do not matter. If you are seeking help, then you are on your own. It is the elite in society who will benefit the most when times get tough. On August 27th, Major Ed Dames, a former military intelligence officer and a remarkably accurate predictor of future occurrences, held an event in Las Vegas in which he exposed the truth about Planet X. In this event, he referenced that Planet X was real, it is inbound, and it will cause a tribulation. He said it appears to be a planet, but we are not sure exactly what it is. He said it will be seen in the sky by December of 2017 and will appear as big as the moon. It will interact with the magnetic field and weaken it. It will also interact with the sun directly, causing very large solar flares. There will be a 12-foot shift of the Earth, and the core will be heating up due to the interaction of Planet X with the sun. There will be substantial volcanic activity and catastrophic lightning storms. In all, he paints a bleak portrait of what to expect in our very near future. Researchers have mostly been silent on this subject for fear of retribution or of being silenced. But Ed Dames took a risk in revealing what he knows and is aware of with respect to the incoming Planet X. We are increasingly seeing individuals with direct connections to high-ranking intelligence and space agencies who are coming forward to warn the general public about what they know and have heard concerning the presence of an incoming system that will have a major impact on this planet and its inhabitants. Recently, one of our subscribers sent me a video that was published by a Nibiru observer on September the 12th. This video captures one of those rare moments in which a second sun is visible and is so convincing that one has to view this in complete wonderment. Now, if you look carefully at the object to the right of our sun, you will notice that it is emitting its own light source. It is diamond-shaped, or could be considered to be in the shape of a cross. I would have to speculate that what is being seen here by this observer is the sun's Death Star companion Nemesis, although I have no way of saying with definitive proof that this is what we are seeing in this video. But considering its shape and dimensions and the amount of light emanating from this object, it certainly fits the description of a second sun. As Major Ed Dames had described in his presentation recently, he is grappling with what is coming our way. But whatever it is large, it is threatening, and will have a major impact